I'm Robert Bell.
I'm Dawson.
I'm Andrew.
And this is the Adrenaline Factory. Even if somebody did take it, what are you gonna do? Part it out? You can't use anything. The fenders, the doors, nothing fits. It doesn't fit anything else. So we are getting the last door skin on there. We didn't want to mold the door skin to the frame because if anything ever happened with the window or the structure, or we got into an accident with the car, it'd be really hard to take all that stuff apart easily. So we taped out the inside of this structure so we can fiberglass onto it from the door skin, and that's gonna give us a 1-inch lip, and then we'll go through and put bolts and nuts on there to hold the 2 layers together. So this was the last skin that we didn't have mounted to the car. We wanted to get it on there before ICC, but I didn't have time, and then we came up on IFO really quick, and we didn't have time then, so we might actually take this thing to IFO Tulsa this coming weekend. So I wanted to get at least another piece of the body on the car before then, so you know, something's getting progress made. We do have all of these welded in now, which we did not have before. We had this one, but now we've got the center, this one, and this corner piece on both sides, so that's fully welded off from the outside. So once we put the windshield in it, it'll be sealed. What I'm actually gonna do here is I'm gonna pre-wet this piece because I'm not actually going over just a solid piece of fiberglass. I've got kind of a gap in between the 2 layers. So I'm not gonna be able to really get that soaked in real good with no backing in it. So I'll usually kind of pre-wet these and then hand lay them on there. Plus it kind of helps stick a little easier, and it's not as hard to get it to soak through. So I'm gonna pretty much just get it where this one piece that is dry is gonna be supported by the door. So I got this piece wetted in. And we just want a couple layers on here to get this piece pretty solid, because right now I've got it where it's held on with paint stir sticks that are just hot glued there to hold the outer door skin where I need it in order to do this. And then after I get a couple layers on here, after it's solid, we will pull the door and I'll do this all off the car so I can get a little bit more up in these corners here that are really difficult to get to. We've got our UV light back. Once again, if you're just now starting to follow along, this resin only kicks off with the UV light. It does have a 2-part additive that you can add also, but I kind of like just using the light to cure it. We don't go through as much resin as often, and I can work with it a lot longer without it wanting to cure on its own. We kind of did a couple durability tests on our own. We just cured them with the light, and then we added the actual 2-part, and it really wasn't noticeably stronger either way. So I'm pretty confident that this is going to be, you know, just as solid just using the light to cure it as it would if it was a 2-part. The door is becoming one. It is more one than anyone.
You're ridiculous.
I hate doing fiberglass.
But it's satisfying when it's done.
I wouldn't know, I've never finished it.
We're just watching paint dry now at this point.
Pretty close, resin curing. Oh, we do have the Pour 15 now, so we can start coating this chassis. I did pick that up today. The good thing is though, I'll probably get a couple more containers, so we'll dump them into a fresh container, because as you know, once you put the lid back on Pour 15, if there's paint in the lid, you will never get it off again. And then I ordered the brake lights.
Oh.
Yesterday.
The brake lights?
Yep, the tail lights. The taillight turn signal assembly and the taillight reverse light assembly.
Okay, cool.
We may show you guys that if we haven't already. We've got the Google image from what those are going to look like, and then we'll do a side-by-side or up and down or in and out or left and right or front and back or whatever Jacob decides to do on showing you guys what our lights are going to look like versus the one on the real Infernus, because as I talked about before, I didn't like how the turn signal and reverse light were on the same light and how the running light and brake light were on the same light. He'll show you on the side-by-sides, but it just looks odd if we can figure out a way to kind of illuminate what they would look like. It would look like the outer portion of the light doesn't do anything at night, and we're going to definitely try to get away from that look. So we did find a way around it. They are not the best of lights, and they're kind of expensive for the quality that they are. But I think later on we can probably redraw the lens to be the same spec as the one that's on there, with maybe a brake light integrated around them. But the biggest thing is you'll see on the light there's like some weird indents or whatever for reflection. I'm not sure how that's going to look yet, but if we
expose screws,
that I'm not worried about. The exposed screws, because we are going to probably 3D print a trim ring to go over them that's going to have the Pokeball style center circle and the bars to divide them. I think that'll kind of cover up that outer ridge. And I believe these lights are 5-inch, and I think that on the drawings that we did, they're 5.5. So that'll give us the perfect amount, 1/4-inch trim around the whole thing to make it the exact size of what we originally planned for.
So what is it being used for? Like what light did you decide to use for the rear?
They're circular lights, just like the Infernus, where it's a top and bottom divided. But the Infernus is red on the inner one, and then it's amber white on the outer one. And I didn't like how the tail light at night would just be the singular light. It wouldn't look very supercar. So I did red and white on the inner light, and then red and amber on the outer, so the top reds will be lit, so they'll look like two crests. But maybe later on we'll do a full outer circle.
Wouldn't it be like an L as well during the nighttime running lights?
No, because I'm probably not going to keep the amber one lit. The amber portion of the bulb
will only be a turn signal?
Yeah, it'll probably just only be a turn signal. But I was thinking that later we could put those rings around them to where that would be a running light, and then the high side of the red would just be a brake light. But we'll see what we can get. I mean, the biggest thing is that we keep some of the original look of the Infernus, so it looks like we kind of upgraded from that. And then we also did get the aluminum for the wing uprights. We're checking with our buddy Neil, who did a lot of our renderings for us, to make sure that his rendering measurements are similar to ours. That way we can get those water jet or plasma cut out, so we can start mounting the wing and getting the rear clamshell mounted where it actually hinges up and down. Then we can get some measurements for the plexiglass and the doors. Once we finish the window border here for the windshield, we can weld on the aluminum supports for the A-pillar and the B-pillar on the door. That way we'll have the support for the side windows. And then we'll get an accurate weight of what the doors are, and then we can get the lift struts for those. And then Jacob was talking to me earlier about these door handles. I think we're going to use some Miata door handles. Just got to figure out how to get the lock to work, being the fact that the lock and the door handle lever are all in the actual latch mechanism of the door. So we actually have one of the Miata latches here. This actually is, I believe, for this side. So we're going to cut this part out and sink this in. I'm going to have to tape this off and fiberglass it from the inside so this sets flush. But the latch that we used on the inside of the door is a universal latch from Summit Racing, and it does have the primary and secondary locks, so it's got the safety latch on it. But this is the direction that it needs to push here. But the difference is this is got a push rod that's supposed to go to the latch mechanism on the door to lock it. So this is kind of a free range piece on here. So we need to come up with some sort of lock that when you turn it, it locks out this mechanism so the door latch can't actually move. I'm not worried about a whole lot of safety. It's more like a theft deterrent than anything, because the car is going to be kept indoors. It's mostly going to be for drifting, and it's going to have ignition disable and stuff on it anyway. So it would take a lot more than somebody just being in the car to take it. So plus, even if somebody did take it, what are you going to do? Part it out? You can't use anything. Your fenders, doors, nothing fits. It doesn't fit anything else. Are you going to put it on a Murcielago? Are you going to make a Murcielago a real Infernus? I'm pretty sure I'd know it was mine. But either way, you know. So we'll get that stuff going, and hopefully in the next week or so, after we get the door frames built for here and we get the weight of the doors, then we can figure out the lift struts and actually get some handles on here so I don't have to keep crawling over the doors. That'd be nice. Plus, it would be a huge, what do you call it? That's the word I'm looking for here, Travis. A huge like accomplishment, because Jacob, our film guy here, has been raving about the doors since we started to work on the car. Like, I don't even think we had any of the chassis built yet, and he was like, the only thing I'm really wondering about is how you're gonna do the doors. Like, you know, and here I am thinking like, I'm building an entire car from nothing. Like, the doors are literally the last thing I'm worried about, because it's just a pivot hinge and open and close, you know, no big deal to me, but it was a huge deal to him. So it will be great to see it with the doors going up and down on their own with just opening with the latch. It'll be, his mind will be blown.
I think that was a necessary segment.
I do too. And I mean, the good thing is none of this shit's made up. Like, it's all real shit. You know, Jacob literally said that. You know, I'm like, really? Like, that's what you're worried about, is how I'm gonna figure out how the doors are gonna work. Like, you're not worried about like the suspension or the fact that like this isn't a car. You're not worried about the drivetrain, axle inclination, toe-in squat on the rear suspension, what coilovers I'm gonna use, how I'm gonna triangulate the chassis to cut down on weight and make it stronger. No, we're not worried about any of the window, what windshield are you gonna use? No, none of that stuff. We're worried about how the doors are gonna go up like a Lamborghini without buying Lamborghini hinges. That's what we were worried about.
See, I'm mostly hyped for the frunk.
The frunk?
Yeah, the frunk lid.
The frunk lid? Yeah, so that we're just gonna fiberglass, because the frunk is just a flat piece of fiberglass. It doesn't have any three-dimensional structure to it. So what we're probably gonna do is get some cardboard and build some like A-frame shape, and then fiberglass over it, pull it off, then do a two-part panel bond to adhere it to the hood to get some, you know, structural integrity to it, and then it will just have fiberglass L-shape parts coming down that we'll pin through to make some sort of removable hinge from the front. It's not really going to get a whole lot of load or anything on it. It's going to be mostly, you know, pulled shut, but the back one has to have a lot of strength because the air is going to want to come in it and try to lift it. So that's the one that we got to have a lot of strength in, which is why we're going to use that 5/16 aluminum to give the structure to that. But it'll all be triangle gusseted out, so it won't weigh a whole lot after having a lot of that stuff removed. So hopefully we will get to a point where this car is mostly finished, if not finished, ready for paint come springtime, because I've got big plans to take this thing to a lot of places this coming year. So all right, what do you want me to say again? Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out our next video.